People of Hinamoto Island were engulfed in fear after being attacked by the creatures called caban, which started to appear in the past 20 years. The cabans were like zombies and could be identified through their glowing hearts. Because of people were scared to turn like them, each village on the island built its own train station which was connected to the next village and surrounded with walls. One of these stations was the Aragane station, but one night the cabans attacked them. Could people survive from these creatures? Watch the video until the end to find out. The story began when the Ketsujiu or an armored train passed through an abandoned station. The cabans attacked them, and when one of them was bitten, his other companions immediately ordered him to kill himself with a suicide bag. When they passed this station, the next was the Aragane station. At this station, there lived a steam smith, named Ikoma. It was Ikoma's dream to invent a weapon that could penetrate the heart of the caban with just one bullet. Together with his friend, named Takumi, who was also a steam smith, they invented the piercing gun, which was more powerful than the normal steam gun. While they were working at the station, they were visited by Ayam, the daughter of the station manager. Ayam told the man in charge that she wanted to have her father's steam gun repaired, so Ikoma was assigned to do it. Suddenly, the Ketsujiu arrived, which they thought would come the next day's schedule. Since they wonder why it came early, Ayam's father, named Kenshi Makawa, explained that it was because of the abandoned stations. The train no longer stopped there in order to speed up its travel. They immediately inspected the passengers to make sure that they did not have a caban with them. While they were cleaning the Ketsujiu, they saw a girl named Mumei who came down from it. The guard noticed and stopped her, but Kenshu came and said that she was no longer subject to inspection, including her companion, named Sherman. Suddenly, there had been a chaos when a man came running out of the train and refused to be inspected, so they suspected him as a caban. Ikoma tried to stop the guards from being harsh, but he was only beaten by the guards, and the man was also shot when he tried to escape. Blood came out from him and they found out that he was not a caban, so Ikoma got mad and spoke unkindly towards the guards. Kenshu arrived and Ikoma approached to complain, but Kurusu attacked him, and Kenshu also ordered to put Ikoma in jail. While Kenshu and Sherman were talking, Mumei came out. She went to visit Ikoma in the jail and they talked about what he did to help the mistaken person as caban. Meanwhile, the armored train called Ketsujiu was about to come, so the guards lowered the rail. They were shocked when they saw that it was carrying cabans, so they immediately raised the rail again, causing the train to crush and its wagons overthrown. Because of the strong impact, it created a powerful explosion that worried the people. The cabans began to attack, so the guards immediately rang the bell to alert the people of the incoming danger. Mumei immediately left and Ikoma also escaped from prison to go back home and get his piercing gun. Kensha left to go to the Ketsujiu and told his people that he would give a signal if the station needed to be abandoned. When Ikoma was close to where he was staying, he took a knife and cut himself so that he could attract a caban and test the power of the piercing gun. He was caught off guard because he did not expect that the caban would come from above to attack him. He shot and killed the caban using the piercing gun, but he had been bitten by it. So he immediately devised a way to prevent it from reaching his brain, and he succeeded. While Mumei and her companion were on their way to Ketsujiu, Sherman stopped her because he had been bitten by the caban. Then he used the suicide bag to kill himself. After losing Sherman, Mumei began to attack and fight the cabans. When Ikoma woke up, he realized that he had not become a caban, but his appearance had changed a bit. Takumi arrived in his place and Ikoma immediately told him that the piercing gun they invented was a success. He also informed Takumi that he had been bitten and that he also found a way not to turn into caban, which shocked his friend. While some people were being devoured by the cabans, other people gathered in one place and waited for Ayam's father for his signal. While they were arguing whether to wait for the signal or to board the Ketsujiu, Mumei arrived wearing her combat suit. She asked if any of them knew how to operate the Ketsujiu, and Yukaina, who was a trainee, volunteered herself. Mumei had to fight against the cabans. People who witnessed were surprised that Mumei was able to kill the cabans so easily. When Ikoma and Takumi arrived in Ketsujiu, they were not allowed to board until they could prove that they were not cabans. Suddenly, the cabans came and Ikoma was about to fight them with a piercing gun, but Mumei came and killed the cabans quickly. Mumei did not immediately recognize Ikoma because of some change in his appearance. She smelled him and told Ikoma that she could feel there was something not normal to him anymore. Kurusu approached them and he accused Ikoma as caban because he had escaped from prison. Mumei told Kurusu that Ikoma was not a caban, Then they had activated the Ketsujiu using the master key in Ayam's care. They were going to Kokaku where the shogun resided and had the highest form of security of all stations. Mumei said that she needed to sleep first for the meantime because she lost her strength after fighting the cabanes. Even though they had not yet seen Ayam's father, the train was slowly moving because of the incoming group of cabanes. The cabanes reached the train and it had been shaking due to the attacks from the creatures. A loose pipe almost hit Kajika and the children. Luckily Ikoma was able to hold onto it. Suddenly a cabane forced itself to enter the wagon, so Ikoma immediately used his piercing gun to kill it. When he told people that they were safe, people were stunned to see that his heart was glowing. Kurusu came and did not listen to Ikoma's explanation. He immediately shot him, causing Ikoma to fall out of the train. The guard saw some of the cabanes approaching towards the train, and they saw Ayam's father who turned and became a cabane. Ayam cried after knowing this and Kurusu ordered to speed up the Ketsujiu. When they arrived at the gate on the exit of the station, they saw that the rail was still up. They could not lower the rail because there was a body of a cabane that was stuck in the way. From the cabane's attack, the water tank was affected and punctured. Kurusu was about to go to the manual lever that would lower the rail, but Kibito stopped him. Suddenly, they saw Ikoma and was fighting the cabane alone. After that, he also managed to lower the rail. As the Ketsujiu was leaving the station, Takumi threw a rope to Ikoma and asked him to hold onto it so he could get on the train. But Takumi was being stopped by other men, so Mumei came out to put the rope onto Ikoma. They managed to get Ikoma on board, but Kurusu confronted them and immediately pointed a gun at Ikoma. To stop the commotion, Mumei showed her back and told them that Ikoma was like her, who was now a Kabaneri or half human and half cabane. Kurusu was still not convinced that they were not dangerous. But Ayam came to let the Kabaneri stay and Kurusu could not do anything but obey. Then they agreed that Ikoma and Mumei would only stay at the end of the Ketsujiu. The 6 chiefs were angry and complained at Ayam's decision. While they were arguing, the elders came in and begged them to stop the Ketsujiu so they could pray for the dead. Meanwhile, Mumei was teaching Ikoma some of the fighting skills that she knew. While resting, Ikoma asked her about the ribbon on her neck. Then Mumei answered that whenever she took it off, she was able to fight with all her strength. Suddenly, she felt that there was a cabane inside the train, so she went to the next room. When she got there, the people were so scared that they ran away. As Ikoma was asking Mumei to go back to their room, Kurusu arrived and pointed his gun at them. Ayam and the 6 chiefs also arrived. They were forcing Ayam to get Ikoma and Mumei out of the train. But the steam smith, named Suzuki, grabbed their attention to inform them about the condition of the water tank. They decided to stop the train to fix the water tank and fill it with water as well. Since Suzuki said that it was still possible that the water tank could be fixed the next day, Ayam decided to hold a vigil for the elder's request. She added that she should also pray for her father. Suddenly, she heard one of the 6 chiefs plan to eliminate Ikoma and Mumei. While Ikoma was watching the vigil outside, Mumei asked about the stone in his hand. So Ikoma answered that they just saw it in the river with his sister. Then Ikoma told her the story of what happened 5 years ago. The cabanes attacked their station and her sister died there as well. While those ordered by one of the 6 chiefs began to act to kill Ikoma and Mumei. But Ayam came to stop them. That surprised them all. Ayam entered the wagon of the Kabaneris, then Mumei went out to fight those who wanted to kill them. But Ayam stopped her, so she left and talked to Kajika. Ayam tried to attack Ikoma to prove to those who wanted to kill them that they were not enemies. After she proved that the Kabaneris were not a threat, those who wanted to kill them decided to lower their weapons and just left. Then Ayam asked Ikoma why he did not use his other hand while restraining her. Ikoma replied that he was still in the process of reforming and was not yet in control of his body. As Ayam was about to leave, Ikoma suddenly lost consciousness, so Ayam immediately approached him. While Mumei was playing with the children, Kajika offered her food. But according to Mumei, she did not need it because what she wanted was the blood of a person. They were alerted by her answer and the rest of them were also angry with Mumei. They suddenly heard a scream and saw that Shino had become a cabane. Mumei quickly attacked and killed her immediately. When Ikoma woke up, he was about to try to bite Ayam, but Kurusu came to stop him. Ikoma came back to his senses and Mumei came there to tell Ayam to turn on the Ketsujiu because some cabane had arrived. After everyone was on board, they immediately left the area. Mumei and Ikoma were not allowed to help fight the caban because the others were afraid of a possible attack from behind. Others were blaming Mumei, who allegedly brought the cabans that attacked them. The 6 chiefs were very angry again because they found out what Ikoma had done to Iam. Because of this, the 6 chiefs were able to make Iam agree to give them the master key of Ketsujiu. They immediately ordered Ikoma to take the mountain road. Iam was worried because it was dangerous to go through it, but they reasoned that this road to Kokaku was faster than the other road. On the other hand, Mumei knew that Ikoma was just hungry, so he attacked Iam. Since the 6 chiefs had control on the Ketsujiu, they also imprisoned Takumi, Kajika and Sukari in their room with Ikoma and Mumei because they were in favor of the Kabaneri. Then Sukari saw that the people were trying to disconnect the wagon in which they were imprisoned. But before they could enter the tunnel, they were being attacked by the cabans. When Mumei saw the attackers, she confirmed that those were the Wazatori. She said that the Wazatori learned how to fight because of its experience, and this type of caban should not be taken lightly. While they were trying to hold back the other cabans, Kibito asked Kurusu to take his sword because these cabans had their own style on how to fight. Ikoma and Mumei planned to go to the other wagon and they would go above the train. Mumei told them what she had read at the entrance of the tunnel that they currently passed through. Sukari found out that there would be a big gap in the tunnel after the 3 more tunnels that they would pass through. After that, Ikoma and Mumei would have a chance to get out. Meanwhile, Kurusu began to fight the cabans with his sword. He was able to fight the Wazatori, but he was having a hard time defeating it. When he was about to attack its heart, his sword broke and he was stabbed by the Wazatori. The others attacked the Wazatori so Kibito could get Kurusu. After passing through the 3rd tunnel, Ikoma and Mumei started to move, and they fought the other caban at the top. Since Mumei had not drunk blood yet, she suddenly weakened. So Ikoma tied Mumei for the meantime. He was about to continue when he also felt bad and the train entered another tunnel. While those people inside were trying to stop the Wazatori. When Ikoma arrived at the wagon where Iam was, he begged her to give her blood, and said that he would make sure to defeat the Wazatori. Iam immediately went up and wounded herself to make Ikoma drink her blood. The Wazatori was about to go up when Kurusu attacked it. As soon as Ikoma drank Iam's blood, he immediately went down and quickly killed the Wazatori. Iam recovered the master key from the 6 chiefs and she also decided to give her blood in case Ikoma and Mumei needed it. Because of this decision, she was also supported by others and they too were willing to give their blood. When they arrived at the next station, they found out that it was also attacked by the cabans. They also found that the railway was blocked by a fallen watchtower, so they also had to remove it to pass through it. According to the residents there, it was a black smoke that attacked them. While giving the ration of foods, Mumei saw their former colleague, named Inoku. They discussed his discovery that the shogunates were planning something. He also said that he was ready to help their leader again, whom Mumei called her older brother. But Mumei said that she was not sure if what he was going to do would be enough to get him back to their group. Before Mumei left, she warned him that if he did not do well the tasks that her older brother asked him to do, he might leave him too. Meanwhile, they had already planned on how they would remove the roadblock. Ikoma informed them that if they could get into the boiler room and start the boiler, they could use the steam crane to remove the obstruction from the railway. Mumei came there and Ikoma continued his explanation. Since the front part of the boiler room was infested by the cabans, they would have to pass from behind. Upon hearing that plan, Mumei said that she would not come with them because she did not want to go through another path to get to the boiler room by avoiding the cabans. She added that only cowards would do that, and she did not want to be with those kind of people. They did not have any idea that Mumei was acting like this because of what her former colleague had said. Then Ikoma spoke to his friends to ask their help in operating the crane. Ikoma and Mumei talk again. And he told Mumei that she could do whatever she wanted as long as she would avoid the boiler room. After delivering Takumi and Sukari to their position, they went to the boiler room. But on their way, they saw Mumei on her way to the boiler room, but she was going to the front area. Ikoma decided to go to her and did not follow their previous plan to go behind and avoid the cabans. Mumei managed to defeat all the cabans in the area, and when they arrived, Ikoma started working on the boiler. When their companion peeked at the bottom part, they saw more cabans going up to them. After Ikoma turned on the boiler, Mumei suddenly disappeared. Ikoma went to his friends and told them that he'll be the one to operate the crane so they could ride the Ketsujiu. When his friends were able to get into the train, the Ketsujiu continued while Ikoma lifted the watchtower that blocked the railroad. Ikoma saw Mumei approaching the enemy, but it was a strong caban. When Mumei fell, Ikoma left the crane to go to her, causing the Ketsujiu to stop when the crane failed to completely lift the block on the railroad. After Ikoma killed a caban, he saw the black smoke came out, which was said by the people and was formed from a lot of cabans. Ikoma and Mumei took cover in the cave, but large rocks fell as the black smoke came out and covered the area. When Mumei woke up, they were trapped and was covered by the debris, while the Ketsujiu retreated and hid back in the station. They talked about their next plan, while Ikoma searched and saw Mumei. He tried to remove what covered half of Mumei's body, but he could not remove it. Because of Mumei's hunger, she was affected by her caban's side. Fortunately, Ikoma had blood and immediately let her drink it. Suddenly, they saw a lot of cabans coming, so Ikoma wounded himself to attract the enemies and they would only aim at him. While Ikoma was fighting the cabans, Mumei remembered the day when the one she called her brother helped her. On the other hand, Ayam decided to continue with the plan. When they saw Mumei, they used a crane to remove what was covering half of her body. When Mumei woke up, she immediately looked for Ikoma and saw him lying in the distance. While they were outside, they saw the black smoke, which according to Mumei was a fused colony. When they boarded the Ketsujiu, they saw the black smoke forcing its way into the cave, and Mumei said that it was trying to take other cabans inside the cave. While Ikoma was lifting the roadblock, Mumei told the others how the fused colony could be defeated. She added that there was a caban inside that served as its heart, and they should target this one. They needed to expose his heart using Cannon 48, and Mumei volunteered that she would kill the caban that served as its heart as her payment to them for saving her. When they got past on the railroad after removing the roadblock, the enemy also chased after them. While they were waiting for the right opportunity to use the Cannon 48, the group of Ikoma was fighting the other cabans at the top. After using the Cannon 48, the enemy's heart was exposed and Mumei immediately attacked and was able to kill it. Because of this, they managed to get out of the station. When they arrived at the Shirtorai station, they were all relieved because they could see that this station was still in good condition. They took this opportunity to buy what they would need, and they also decided to celebrate Tanabata. Kachika took Mumei with her to go for shopping, while Ikoma went with Takumi to get supplies. But they got into a fight with the station bushi and they beat him up. Meanwhile, Ayam talked to the minister of the area, who was amazed by the power of the jet bullets they showed. She offered them the blueprint of the jet bullets in exchange for food. After Ikoma's group bought the needed supplies, he noticed that Mumei was not around. He immediately told the others that he would look for her because she was not carrying the blood. When he saw her, gave her blood, and they discussed about Mumei's past in the Tanabata. Then Mumei decided to tell Ikoma her real name, which was Hatsumi. Upon knowing this, Ikoma thought that maybe her mother named it after her so that she would eat a lot of rice. Mumei laughed at what Ikoma said because it was not what she was currently need anymore. But she was surprised when Ikoma promised that he would return her human form so that she could eat a lot of rice. In the evening, they celebrated Tanabata and all of them wrote their wishes on the paper. Suddenly, Ikoma shouted what he wanted to happen. He said that he wanted to exterminate all caban and live a normal life. While Ayam's request was to reopen the Aragane station. After they put their wishes on the bamboo, they watched the fireworks display. The next day, the hunters who had been known to fight the cabans for a long time came to the area. It was led by Biba Amatori, who was the son of the shogun and who recognized by Mumei as her older brother. Ikoma stared at him and wanted to know if Biba was really a real hero. While walking, Mumei mentioned to Biba about Ikoma, who was also like her, a Kabaneri. Biba went to meet Ayam, and Ikoma also came there to meet him. Biba ordered Mumei to go to Tsutsugamitokoro, then he invited Ayam and Ikoma inside. When they got inside, they saw a man who was having a hard time fixing the Hayajiro, so Biba decided to help him and asked Hirobi to take the others and go on first. But Ikoma stayed behind and volunteered to help Biba. While they were waiting for Biba, Yuryu came there to take Kurusu's sword, but he refused to give it to Yuryu. Meanwhile, Ikoma and Biba talked about what Biba taught to Mumei, that only the strong ones could live and the weak would die. Ikoma did not agree to this because it seemed that Biba was saying that the weak had no right to live, but for Biba, it means to force someone to fight to live. Suddenly, they heard a noise which was a signal that some cabanes were approaching the station. So the hunters got ready to fight and so was Ikoma. While boarding the Hayajiro, Biba's group left the station. They used the cannons against the enemies and then they rushed to attack the cabanes. Those who witnessed marvel because even if there are too many cabanes, Biba's group was able to kill them quickly. When a Wazatori appeared, Mumei and Hirobai, who was also a Kabaneri, helped each other to defeat it. Inoku approached Biba and brought out his sword. Inoku wanted to go back to being a hunter but Biba did not accept him anymore. In Inoku's anger, he attacked Biba but it did not hit him until Inoku was the one being stabbed to death. Ikoma saw what Biba did so he confronted him. Takumi and Ayam stopped him and apologized to Biba for Ikoma's behavior. Then the other hunters attacked those who wanted to kill Biba too. Biba talked to Ayam and offered that his group would accompany them to Kokaku, and Ayam agreed to this for the safety of her people. Before it got dark, they had already left Shirtorai Station to continue to Kokaku. Meanwhile, Ikoma asked Takumi about what he saw in Biba before it killed Inoku. He also mentioned that Mumei told him that she was not bitten by the Kabaneri, so Ikoma thought that the transformation of Mumei into a Kabaneri was done on purpose, and Biba was surely had something to do with it. Takumi was surprised about this information so they decided to discuss it outside. On the other hand, Biba ordered Mumei to get the Ketsujiu's master key from Ayam. And Mumei had no other choice but follow Biba's orders. On their travel, Biba's men brought with them the captured hunters, named Hiratsuka and his assistant in the Kokujou. Biba knew that Hiratsuka was in charge of their supply while they were fighting the cabanes 10 years ago, which was suddenly being abandoned. When Biba killed its assistant, Hiratsuka confessed that the shogun, who was also Biba's father, ordered them to do it. While Ikoma and Takumi were talking outside, he felt that there were cabanes in the Kokujou. When Mumei reached Ayam's room, Ayam was surprised that Mumei wanted to take the master key of Ketsujiu from her. Yukaina heard this conversation and when Mumei threatened Ayam, she immediately came in and gave Mumei the key to the boiler. Mumei was surprised when Biba told her that what she received from Yukaina was not the Ketsujiu's master key. Takumi ran and immediately informed the others about what Ikoma was doing for he wanted to confirm if there were cabanes there. Biba found out about this, so Mumei decided to go out and stop Ikoma. But before she left, Biba told her to kill Ikoma if he insisted on entering the Kokujou. When Mumei came out, Ikoma immediately told her that there were cabanes hidden in the Kokujou. During their conversation, Ikoma found out that it was Tsutsugame Okoro who experimented on turning Mumei into a Kabaneri. Ikoma tried to convince Mumei to leave Kokujou and Biba's group but she refused to do it. After that, he told Takumi and Ayam about Biba's mischief before he killed Inoku. When they arrived at Iwado Station, which was the last station before the Kokaku, the Ketsujiu passengers were disembarked by the order of the samurais in charge. Biba's group found out that the shogun had ordered those in charge not to let them in. Ikoma had also told the others about the cabanes he felt while they were traveling with Biba's group. With this information, Ayam agreed to keep Mumei away from Biba, and Ikoma promised to bring Mumei back. The person in charge in the station, named Maeda, asked for Ayam and Biba, but only children and women could join them. Maeda talked to Ayam first. When Biba and his group were on their way, Takumi saw them so he immediately informed Ikoma. When Biba arrived and entered the room, a man immediately pointed a gun at him. Before the conversation started, Mumei said that she wanted to go to the bathroom. But she just pretended and she quickly executed her mission to lower the rail so the Kokujou could enter. While Mumei was giving a signal to the other hunters, Ikoma and Takumi arrived on her location. Suddenly, they heard noise and were shocked to see that the hunters released a number of cabanes. The bell was immediately rung and when they heard it, Biba started attacking those inside the room. When Ayam tried to fight Biba, Hirobai attacked her with a dagger but Yukaina blocked it then Biba killed Maeda. The cabanes quickly dispersed and attacked the people. Then Mumei left, so Ikoma and Takumi decided to go back to their companions. Kurusu immediately moved to go to Ayam and he saw them being forced to board into the Kokujou. On the other hand, Biba injected something to Hirobai so she would serve as the heart of the fused colony. She immediately gathered the cabanes around her and aimed to attack the great gate of the Iwado which protected the Kokaku. When Mumei and Biba met, Mumei was troubled when she found out that Hirobi was inside the fused colony which was gradually disbanded. They planned to inject Hirobi with white blood, but according to Tsutsugame Dokoro, that she could not be brought back anymore. When Kurusu arrived there, he immediately attacked the enemies. Ayam grabbed the bag of white blood and threatened to drop it, but she suddenly let go of the bag when Tsutsugame Dokoro fired the gun until Kurusu fell down with him. Because Hirobi had been controlled by her caban side, she also attacked her colleagues until she got close to Biba. As she aimed her weapon at Biba, she regained her senses, but Biba suddenly stabbed her and it was witnessed by Mumei. Biba spoke and everyone heard it. The hunters also started to subdue the group of Ikoma, including all the people from Aragane station. They were all put in the Ketsujiu and traveled on their way to Kokaku, while Ikoma was tied and imprisoned. Other people were disappointed and were angry at Sakuri when they learned that he joined the hunters. He asked Yukaina to give Ikoma the blood that he brought. While Ikoma was observing those people who were delivering the food that were holding the keys to the doors. Then they were all given a different colored armbands to identify the schedule for the blood draw. The next day, Ikoma decided to execute the attack against the hunters. Meanwhile, Ayam agreed to what Biba wanted her to do when they arrived at Kokaku for the safety of Ikoma and the others. Then Biba also told the story of what the shogunate did 10 years ago after sending them to Kyushu to kill the Kabans, which he commanded an army. In the beginning, they fought well against the enemies until the in-charge stopped sending them supplies, causing the Kabans to defeat them, which was his father's fault. Ikoma had already talked to his companions about the plan, he thought. And it was to get to the engine room of the Kokuju and control it. When Mumei found out that the hunters were taking the blood of the people from Ketsujiu, she talked to Biba about it. Biba noticed that Mumei had been close and showed care towards the people of Aragane station, so he told her that he would not be harsh on these people if they would only follow his commands. Mumei was happy with Biba's answer. Biba told Sahari that Mumei needed to be fixed. When the food delivery for the people arrived, Ikoma's group executed their plan. Ikoma immediately got the keys. Takumi was about to attack Sakuri when he was stopped by Ikoma and explained to him that Sakuri only pretended to join the hunters so that he could give informations to him. After that, they started entering the Kokuju. When Biba found out about it, he ordered Mumei to eliminate the group of Ikoma. But she refused to do it and tried to get away, so Biba was forced to arrest Mumei. When Ikoma got close to the engine room, he could no longer open the door. So they decided to go outside, but the other door was already locked. Then Biba confronted them and told them that he already predicted that Ikoma and his men would attack on that time, so he ordered to change the keys of the doors. Biba aimed at Ikoma and fired his gun, but Takumi blocked it. In Ikoma's anger, he tried to attack Biba, but Sahari just beat him. His arm was also cut off after being shot by Sahari, causing the stone to fall from his hand, and Takumi saw it. Then Mumei appeared and stabbed Ikoma and he fell from the train. Mumei also saw the stone that Takumi was holding. When Kibito and the others arrived, they saw the lifeless body of Takumi. Kajika was very angry when the hunters told them that they were going to take Takumi's body. So Yuryu just told Sahari to leave them alone. Biba also told Mumei what his father did when he was young, and it was also one of the reasons why he could not forgive his father. After that, he also injected Mumei with a fluid to use her as the heart of the fused colony. Meanwhile, the shogun met with other Kokaku officials and discussed about the destruction of the gate at Iwado Station. The person who received the information about the fused colony gave him an advice to inform everyone about it as well. Since he was the only one who knew about it, the shogun just killed him because the news would only cause chaos among the people out of fear. On the other hand, Ikoma woke up on the seashore and immediately remembered what happened to Takumi. He saw there a cabane, so he quickly hid in the old boat. When Ketsujiu arrived in Kokaku, Ayam did what was told to her regarding her agreement to Biba. Ayam pretended that she captured Biba so they could easily enter Kokaku. She also met with her uncle, who was one of the high officials in Kokaku. While Ikoma was waiting for the cabane, a man came and he was surprised that it was Kurusu. Ikoma informed him of what happened, and it turned out that Kurusu was with Tsutsugame Dokoro. Ikoma had lost the will to continue the fight and said that it would be better for him to die. Kurusu was so disappointed at him and let him go. When Biba and the shogun met, the shogun ordered to take the knife he had given to him. He was about to kill Biba, but there was a sharp object in its handle that pricked his hand. At that moment, Biba told everyone that there was a cabane who was disguising himself in the room. It turned out that he was referring to the shogun, who immediately became a caban from the wound he got from the knife. The shogun was immediately shot by the guards and Biba killed him with the sword. He also informed them that there might be other cabans who were disguising themselves. Because of this, the entire Kokaku rioted and people killed each other. The hunters had also taken their action to bring the Ketsujiu into the Kokaku and release the cabans they brought. Before Kurusu left, he approached Ikoma again. Kurusu told him that based on Ikoma's wound, he could see that Mumei did it on purpose so that he could survive and escape from Biba. He also mentioned that it was possible that Mumei would become a fused colony because of what Tsutsugame said. When Ikoma heard this, he also wanted to know more information about it from Tsutsugame. As Mumei became a fused colony, Ikoma learned about the white blood that, according to Tsutsugame, would help Mumei to return to her normal state. After he got ready, he asked for the black blood. Tsutsugame warned Ikoma that he would be like Hirobai, who was being dominated by the Kaban's power. And the only difference was that he would not become a fused colony because he was a man. After Ikoma injected it into himself, the steel membrane engulfed him as well, but he succeeded in controlling it. When they arrived to Kokaku, they saw Mumei as a fused colony and was attacking the whole area. Then Kurusu promised him that he would kill Ikoma immediately if he ever became a full caban. While the people of Kokaku were blaming the people of Aragane station for the appearance of the cabans, Ayam came to stop them from harassing her people. She calmed them down and offered them to join the Ketsujiu because she said that they were leaving Kokaku. After Biba informed Sahari of their plan to leave, they were surprised to see Ikoma. Sahari had the other hunters attack Ikoma, but Kurusu came to kill his other companions. They planned to kill Ikoma using the armored train, but because of his strength, even the armored train was just overthrown when it collided with him. Then Ikoma and Sahari fought, and he quickly killed Sahari. Biba was given white blood in preparation for the sudden increase of cabans because he was also a Kabaneri. He also ordered Yuryu to save the rest of their companions and leave Kokaku because he would face Ikoma and fight with him. While Kurusu was fighting against a number of cabans, Mumei suddenly fell because she heard Ikoma's scream. He was about to approach her when he saw Biba walking towards him. The two of them fought and Biba was able to stab him, but Ikoma did not mind the injury it caused on him. He threw Biba away, and when he was about to approach him, Ikoma suddenly lost his sight. Biba took his sword and slowly approached Ikoma to attack him from behind. But because of the noise from the stone that Mumei dropped in the water, Ikoma got ahead of Biba, causing one of his arms to be cut off. Ikoma quickly approached Mumei and he immediately injected the white blood to her, then she was freed from the fused colony. When Mumei woke up, she saw Biba attacking Ikoma with his gun. When he was close to Ikoma, Mumei suddenly stabbed him. Meanwhile, Ayam and the others had already planned for Ketsujiu's passage out of Kokaku. Yuryu suddenly arrived and made a deal to tell the escape route that they prepared in exchange for riding the Ketsujiu. After the angry woman slapped Yuryu, Ayam decided to cooperate with the hunters. Kurusu arrived at Mumei and Ikoma's location, then they heard Kajika on the radio. Kajika informed the platform that Ketsujiu would use to pass by, where they would also wait for the others. To reach the area, Kurusu carried Ikoma, while Mumei was fighting the cabans on their way. Because of this, the three of them managed to board the Ketsujiu and successfully get out of the Kokaku. Mumei was so worried and tried to wake up Ikoma. After a few minutes she was relieved when he regained consciousness. When she hugged Ikoma, the steel membrane gradually disappeared, then Mumei realized that the last bullet that Biba shot at Ikoma had the white blood. Mumei had also returned the stone that Ikoma was always carrying. Due to the loss of Kokaku, Hinamoto was divided into regions. After half a year's journey back to the Aragane, they passed the Ketsujiu and Anato at the Hokuriku, where they need to cross the Hida Mountains. This area was already infested with caban, but they caught up with the surviving citizens there. Ikoma's group joined the mission with Hokuriku army to regain Anato. While people were busy repairing the railway, the cabans attacked them. Even in the steam gun factory was also attacked by the enemies, but Mumei came and quickly killed the cabans. After they eliminated the cabans in the back, they went to the front area to support the fight of the other group. While Mumei was on a platform, she felt bad and the caban grabbed her. Luckily, Ikoma came to help her. They immediately helped the other group, which was trapped from the cabans. When the cabanes on one side ran out, the other soldiers picked on Ikoma after knowing that he was a Kabaneri. After a hard work, they gradually conquered the other parts of Anato. And to conquer the whole area, they had to destroy the castle from above. As Sakuri examined the Ketsujiu, they noticed Ikoma observing the footsteps of the cabane. He noticed that the cabanes seemed to want to go in one direction only because their footsteps were all leading to one area. He added that the last cabane they fought seemed to be helping each other to kill people instead of just drinking blood. He concluded that it was possible that someone was controlling them. Meanwhile, Ayam talked to the resident of Anato, named Unmo, and they said that they intend to bring rice back to Aragane. While at home, Mumei and Kajika continued to work on the stone holder that Mumei wanted to give to Ikoma. When Ikoma and Sakuri were on their way out to tell others what they had discovered about the footprints of the cabanes, they met Mumei and Kajika outside. Mumei was about to give what she created for him, but Ikoma said that he was in a hurry and it was something important. When she saw Ayam, Mumei immediately left. They had a meeting with the army of Kuroji and Mogari, who were both assigned to recover Anato, and Unmo was there too. An officer of Kuroji informed them on the scheduled arrival of Narukami. Because of this, they were expecting that could attack the nest of cabanes in the castle. He also added the plan in case the Narukami came to Anato. Ikoma had already informed them of their findings, and begged to be allowed to investigate the source of the footprints that they had seen, for there might be someone controlling the cabanes. But Kuroji said that it was impossible that there was someone controlling the cabanes. He sarcastically added that whoever was doing it, it might be Ikoma himself. Ikoma suddenly got a headache that he always had since they arrived at the Anato. In the end, his request was not granted. Mumei was about to try again to give Ikoma what she had done, but she saw him preparing his things to investigate the origin of the cabanes. Mumei did not agree with what Ikoma wanted to do, and while they were arguing, Ikoma suddenly lost control of his cabane and attacked Mumei. He only went back to his senses when he saw Mumei crying. And he was immediately arrested. Then Ayam came there to help Ikoma. But Ikoma volunteered to be imprisoned and be bound for 3 days to prove that he was not dangerous. When Kuroji arrived, he agreed to what Ikoma had said. While Mumei refused to look at Ikoma as he was taken away. Ayam could not concentrate while she and Kurusu were on training because of what was happening to Ikoma. Kurusu said that although he did not know what Ikoma was thinking, he still believed in its hunch because Ikoma had never failed to see the real enemy. From Unmo's report, they found out about the underground passage to the castle, which was supposedly made in case the residents of the area had to evacuate from the attack of the cabanes. Sakuri said that it was connected to the tunnel that served as passage by the tram and was used during the mining period, and it was possible that the cabanes came from the Block 6. They now realized that Ikoma's suspicions were correct, and Sakuri presented to investigate it. Unmo decided to guide them in the investigation because he also wanted to know something there. Mumei also volunteered to join the investigation. When they arrived there, they saw its door with steel membranes. Suddenly, the Narukami arrived and Kuroji decided to carry out the Narukami campaign immediately, even though it was scheduled for the next day. His reason to Ayam was that they would take advantage of the opportunity while they would not need to remove the snow that Narukami had to pass through. Kuroji's other companions arrived at the cave, but they were caught off guard when the cabanes opened the door. Kuroji's companions quickly ran out and Mumei quickly entered the cave. The bell was immediately rang. Upon hearing this, Ikoma thought that the Narukami campaign had begun. While Mumei was inside and fighting the cabanes, she came across the steel membranes and was surprised to see that there was a trap in there. Ketsujiu and Narukami arrived and positioned their respective places. While Ikoma begged them to let him go, the guards received a false information that Mumei entered the tunnel to cooperate with the cabane. When Ikoma heard this, he suddenly got angry, and as he was breaking the chains, he was shot by the guards. The one who shot him sat down in fear, then Ikoma took his jet bullets. When he got out and was walking, Kuroji's man shot him, while Mumei encountered a Wazatori. At that moment, Narukami had begun to attack the castle led by Kuroji. Before they could follow it with another attack, the man from the castle shot the Narukami with a bloody bullet. Because of this, the Narukami was quickly attacked by the cabanes and they gathered in the bloody area. Kuroji forced his men to continue firing, but because it was blocked by the cabanes, the Narukami exploded. The cabanes managed to enter the Narukami and Kuroji forced the Narukami to move, but he was also bitten, causing the Narukami to lose its control and fell on the cliff. As Ikoma was forcing himself to stand, he remembered his promises to Mumei. He removed the bullet from his thigh, while Mumei continued to fight the Wazatori. Mumei found it very difficult to fight the enemy, so she hid because she was getting weak. Suddenly, Ikoma arrived and quickly killed the Wazatori. When he and Mumei faced each other, Mumei decided to make him drink her blood. While the group of Iam was protecting those repairing the railway, they saw the group of Mogari retreating due to the damage of the Narukami. Iam got angry at their cowardice and she reprimanded them. When Sakuri saw Ikoma and Mumei, the Ketsujiu advanced towards the castle. Mogari's group was forced to fight because of Iam's words. They were able to trace the center of the castle and Unmo immediately recognized the woman inside the glowing sphere. The unknown man shot Shojin, so they retreated first. While hiding, Unmo said that this man was Kageyuki. He added that Kageyuki was also like Ikoma and Mumei. 5 years ago, after Kageyuki came back to life, the Bakufu were afraid of him, so they shot him, but his daughter Miyuki stood in the way and she was one that got hit. In Kageyuki's anger, he attacked the Bakufu and bit Miyuki to make her come back to life even if she turned into a cabane. And now she was inside the glowing sphere. Because this was similar to what happened to Mumei before, she could feel that this would cause a big chaos. But Ikoma told them that it would not happen anymore because they would stop it. Unmo suddenly went out to plead with Kageyuki, but he just shot him again. When Ikoma blocked the next bullet, Mumei rushed to attack. She fought with Kageyuki, but suddenly she saw the content of Kageyuki and Miyuki's hearts, causing her to be distracted, and Kageyuki hit her. When he was about to attack Mumei, Unmo blocked it, so he was the one being stabbed. Unmo knew of Kageyuki's anger because he did not defend him and should have said that he was a human. Ikoma attacked and Mumei followed with another attack too, causing Kageyuki to move back. Then Mumei said that she was to take care of him because she did not like that he was being consumed by his anger. After Mumei shot Kageyuki, she suddenly weakened. Because of this, Miyuki started to lose her temper, but according to Mumei, she was crying because she was scared. After a while, Miyuki became a fused colony that immediately attacked the area. When they entered inside the Ketsujiu, Yukaina operated it backwards. But the fused colony was able to cling to the Ketsujiu. Since they were close to the tunnel, Yukaina thought of speeding up the Ketsujiu, but she also had to slow it down before she could get it back on track. Iam thought of the suction brake and Yukaina immediately spoke to Sakuri on the right signal that would be based on their speed. Iam also informed the others about the activation of the brakes in 5 seconds after the signal which Sakuri would give, so she advised everyone to hold on. Before they could enter the tunnel, they also blew up the fused colony. Mumei had a dream and she saw Miyuki there and was leaving. When she woke up, the Ketsujiu had stopped. The fused colony gradually disappeared at the same time as the shiny flakes spread in the sky. People were watching it, including Unmo, who was with Kageyuki. And a few seconds later, Kageyuki also lost his life. And this is the end of the story, and I hope you like it. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss newly uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.